Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I want to talk about how a PhD forces you to be really open and honest with who you are. So, if you don't know, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And I created this sort of platform where it's a sharing economy proofreading platform. But then I started doing these YouTube videos to give back to PhD students because I know that there's lots of other people that are just like me around the world. And that's really what I'm trying to get at, to be helpful as I possibly can to all those people that can need something like this, right? So today, I actually was going through some of my teaching evaluations and trying to figure out how I should actually improve and what I should do going forward. And I know that there's lots of different issues with teaching evaluations, well aware of all the instructional difficulties with them. For example, that they have sort of selection biases, and then we're asking people to rate your performance after the fact that, or even before you get the performance evaluation, or they get their performance. And it's kind of it's a tricky thing, and it's really messy. And a lot of times I don't necessarily pay attention to teaching evaluations too much because, you can't, because you get a wide variety of responses. Some of them are really kind of unusual, and some of them are really quite serious, and they really take, people are very, very thoughtful in them. And of course, those ones you have to pay attention to them, the ones that are very thoughtful and they're actually genuinely trying to help you out. But I think the bigger thing for me with teaching evaluations, this is what I was trying to sort of think about them, because they kind of do eat you up, right? Because people are very negative with any sort of these evaluations like that. And you do get a lot of emotional responses from different people in different ways. Maybe that they're elated because they took your course, or maybe they have a negative response, which is probably more along the lines with how they actually deal and process these kind of things. And the key thing with me is what I was going through them, and the common theme, and I've seen lots of these at this moment, is that it is you start developing a sort of common theme within them, that you think about your particular self, right? And they become pretty clear over time. My personality is my personality, and I do make adjustments to teaching instructional ways and things like that. But in general, it's your personality, and that's what comes through. And I think for me personally, I'm a fairly tough grader. I evaluate based on whether people actually read the material. And I really I appreciate things like theory, for example, and going through and understanding where we got to the knowledge that we got to at this moment. I really find that stuff interesting, and so I generally am very rigorous with that kind of stuff. And yes, that kind of stuff comes through with all of this mess that you get and all of this difficulty that you have to deal with. And I think that's what it does for me. I have to read between the lines of what's actually going on and what they're truly saying. And some things that students may not value, or that they value, but it's things that I value, and it does come across with that. And it sort of forces me to be really open and honest with myself in what's going on behind the scenes, right? So that I do value these things like this, and some people might not perceive them in the right way, or in the way that I perceive them, right? So right way is kind of a value judgment. So it depends on whether I actually see these particular things. So I do value things like that. So yes, my point is going through these teaching evaluations and sort of thinking about them. Yes, I'm a sucker for punishment. I know a lot of people actually just don't go through them because they are just really negative, right? But if you do go through them, they're kind of an imperfect measure of, what it is that you actually honor as an instructor or as a professor, right? I think that those are key important things to think about in terms of when you're evaluating them. And I think that actually comes across with all things when you do a PhD or going through sort of PhD efforts, is that it really does force you to reflect on sort of key things that are important to you and assess who you are as a person going forward. So that's how I want to talk about. I know it's a little bit rambly, but thank you for following along. If you appreciate this sort of more open sort of dialogue, do give me a thumbs up and do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.